In this video, we're going to explore the importance of extracurricular activities to you, the student. We're going to talk about different types of extracurricular activities so that you can understand many different things qualify. We'll talk about the different kinds of skills you might develop while participating in different activities outside of school. And very importantly, we'll explain why these are important in the context of how they affect your chances of admission to a U.S. university. So let's jump right in. Think about your favorite activity outside of school. It doesn't matter if it's something to do with athletics or creativity or reading, if you are an animal lover or you like building things and tinkering. These kinds of activities can give you opportunities. You might be a musician, you might be an artist, you might be really into athletics and sports, or maybe you like photography and creating things. All of those activities qualify as extracurricular activities, which means that they are performed outside of school. These are not courses, these are activities. Now, there are many other examples of extracurricular activities that you might be involved with, so this is not a comprehensive list, but it should give you an idea that there are many different things, and you can explore things that are of interest to you for whatever reason. Participating in extracurricular activities is a great way to build yourself, to grow and to mature. It can help teach you different types of skills like discipline or leadership or teamwork. Depending on the type of activity that you're involved with, you may really learn something special, not just about yourself, but these skills that could end up helping you for life, for the rest of your life. Having good discipline will empower you later on to become more effective at certain kinds of jobs or activities. Being a leader at a young age is a good opportunity for you to learn and develop those skills, because if you learn leadership as a young person, you don't get it right the first time, but over time you find yourself perhaps consistently being put into or asked to take leadership positions. And of course, teamwork. In today's society, you really don't have that many opportunities for individual work, solo work. You must interact with other people. Whether you're an author who writes their own book or something else that you would consistently or traditionally think of as a solo activity, you still need to be able to work with a team because those activities are no longer truly solo. Participating in extracurricular activities is also important because it gives you a chance to learn how to manage your time, how to create and follow your own priorities. In other words, it gives you a chance to learn how to balance yourself from activity to activity. And again, later in life, in university, of course, you'll have many demands, but later in life, after university, you'll have a great many competing priorities. You'll have your career and your work obligations, which could be substantial. You may also have family obligations that you want to tend to, and you may have other interests. So learning how to manage yourself, manage your time, and balance at a young age in high school can very much help you later in life. Now, of course, another reason to pursue extracurricular activities now instead of saying I'll do that later is the safety factor. In high school, you have a wonderful opportunity to try many things for the very first time. And usually you are able to do those things in a very safe and supportive environment. That is to say that you can experiment. You can try new things. You can see what works in a particular activity and what doesn't. You can fail safely. You don't have to have perfect effort every single time. Nobody who ever played the guitar picked it up on the first try and was able to play it. They picked it up, they plucked at the sound, at the strings, they heard the sound, and they experimented. And slowly, 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 they developed their skills to a level where they could actually play a song that people would recognize. Now, you may have never done some of the extracurricular activities that are available to you, but you could experiment, you could try them, and be sure that 20 years from now or 10 years from now, nobody will care if you struggled at them. Nobody will care if you didn't succeed immediately. You may stumble onto an activity that's hard at first, but over time it can become easier and easier, like the guitar example, or especially with creative activities or athletics activities as well. Let's talk about why these things are important to the U.S. university admissions process. The process itself is holistic, and that means that it takes into consideration many, many different features or different qualities. It looks at different documents, and these documents represent you at different stages of your life. U.S. universities specifically are looking at grades for the entire 4 years of your high school experience, not just your 12th grade academic work. They want to see, what did you take? What courses did you choose to take in your electives? How hard were your classes? Was the curriculum difficult or easy? Did you do well in the more advanced courses than you did in the easier courses? They're looking also at 4 years of activities. On the U.S. university applications, you have a chance to talk about your activities, to list them and leadership activities that you've been involved with. They may ask you, how many hours a week did you participate in this activity? How long have you done it? They're more interested in seeing somebody who has a commitment to something and has done it for many years, rather than somebody who has only done one activity for a few weeks and then quit, and then a different activity and quit, and then a different activity for one weekend. All of those high turnover or many, many different activities, that shows you're sampling things, and it doesn't show that you have a commitment to personal growth. Now, I'll explain a little bit about the growth curve in a minute, but having a commitment to a single or a few extracurricular activities that are the core of who you are is a good idea, because remember that we're looking for 4 whole years of activities. The tests that you take for U.S. admissions, the SAT test or the ACT if you're taking that one, and the language test, either the TOEFL or the IELTS, these are important tests, but they're something that you'll only take in the 11th and 12th grades. So they don't represent you over an entire 4-year period. And your reference letters, well, you won't even get those until late 11th grade or early 12th grade, typically 12th grade. And so these don't always represent what you did back in 9th or 10th grade. So the entire package comes together and represents you. You get to have a voice in the application process through your essays. Many different essay questions, many different types of things that schools are looking for. But again, the essays are a single snapshot moment. This entire set of things represents you in the eyes of the admissions committee. So you can see it's very holistic, but there are only 2 things that cover your entire 4-year period: extracurricular activities and grades. The grades, of course, are documented well on your transcripts, so that leaves us focusing on the extracurricular activities. So let's get back to that. I mentioned the growth curve a minute ago. In the world of extracurricular activities, there are really 4 stages. There's nothing. That means you're not participating in any activities. You're not doing anything. You're doing your academic work, and that's it. I don't know what you spend your free time doing. Maybe it's playing games. Maybe it's hanging out with friends. But you're not doing any organized extracurricular activities. Or you're not doing anything that would be considered an extracurricular activity. Universities don't like that. They really like to see you as a well-rounded individual, somebody who has lots of background or who has some interesting activities. So the lowest level of involvement that a university would respect is the participation level. But being a participant in a lot of activities doesn't really give you all the benefits that you could have. If you are committed to an activity, there's a natural curve that will happen. First of all, when you join this activity, you start participating. You show up at the meetings, or you practice, or you're doing the minimum amount necessary to try to grow and develop. But the next step is when you can start to contribute or give something back to the organization. Imagine that you've joined an organization at school like the Model United Nations. As a participant, you might attend some conferences. You might go to the regular weekly or monthly meetings at your school. But then later, after you've been in the organization for a while, somebody asks you, or you have an opportunity to maybe chair a committee, which is part of the Model UN system. So now you're chairing a committee. Wow, that's a contribution to helping the organization actually exist. That's a contribution to other people who are still at the participation stage, or who are young new members who don't have much of a background here. So you do that. You chair a committee for a year, and then in the next year, you have an opportunity to become a leader. Now, I'm not talking about everybody trying to become the president of a club, but that is a possibility. You might become the vice president for planning, or you might become the chair of a conference whose responsibility includes organizing it. You might be on the organizing committee one year and then run the organizing committee the next year. So this growth path or growth curve goes from starting out at nothing to participating in activities until you're able to start giving back. You're taking from these activities as a participant, but then you start to contribute leadership and experiences as a contributor. And this is like a first step towards leadership. And then you eventually achieve an opportunity to become a leader of some kind in the organization. It doesn't matter what your title is. You may be given a special project to lead, or you may have a formal title where you have defined responsibilities. It doesn't matter. We're talking about going from nothing to leadership over these 4 stages. And universities like to see you as far up this scale as possible, in the contribution and leadership stages especially. Now, what if we're talking about art? You're a painter, for example. If you don't paint, that's nothing. If you start painting, that's a participant. If you don't share your paintings with anybody, that's where you're at. I'm a painter. I am a so-called participant in the extracurricular activity of painting. But as a contributor or leader, now again, you don't have a club, you're just an individual artist. So what would you do to move into something like this contribution and lead stage? Well, one thing you could do is to try to organize some kind of an exhibition of your work, or participate in an exhibition of your work. There might be a chance to bring your work to school as part of some kind of arts day, and that would be a contribution. But if you actually led the organization of the arts day, that's leadership. So even individual activities can qualify on this growth path. Remember that and look for chances in all of the extracurricular activities you do to move from participate to contribute to lead. You want to try to get as high into the leadership opportunities as possible. Now, when you're looking at different opportunities, you can't do everything. So you need to try to choose extracurricular activities. And how will you do it? Well, this is a metric or framework you can use to choose excellent extracurricular activities. Now, not every activity lives up to this, but most activities, if you like it, then there is some other benefits that come from that. So, first of all, you should try extracurricular activities that you like, or try ones that you think you might like. So the best extracurricular activities for you to do on a long-term basis are ones that you do enjoy, because you will do them more frequently and have a higher commitment to it if you like it. If you like it, hopefully you can become good at it. Sometimes you start off not good. Obviously, we talked about guitar, painting, any individual talent activities can be started off not so well, and you can get better over time. But the key to going from beginning to being good at it is that you have to do it. That means you have to actually participate or do this activity as much as you have a chance to. It doesn't have to displace other activities that you are doing, but you have to make a commitment. Now, I'll give you some examples. You don't just play the guitar in your room and say that you're a great guitarist. You have to try to create or participate in opportunities to get your work out there in front of the public. You have to be confident enough in your extracurriculars to put this work out for people to see. So that means if you're an athlete, participating in athletics competitions, that's doing it. If you're a runner and you run for a hobby, but you don't compete, you can move from running as a participant, so to speak, to a contributor, which is somebody who is competing in an organized fashion. The very best extracurriculars give you a chance to compete or to participate publicly in that activity. They are ones that you enjoy doing so that you can have a higher commitment to it, and ones that you're actually good at, which means you have potential to discover a future career. The examples that I want to give you are, I have 3 or 4 examples here. One example is this book, Dancing Alone. Naji is a talented writer, and he's written for a long time. But all of his writing just rested at home on a hard drive, on a computer someplace. He never had an opportunity to do it publicly. So working together, we published his book. It's available online. And it represents him saying, I'm confident enough in my skills as a writer to put this work out publicly. That's the difference between participating and contributing or leading. He is now contributing something publicly for the world to see. I'll give you a couple of other examples. A student that we worked with has a passion for filmmaking. He wants that to be his life's work. And he had an opportunity to support a conference, a TED conference, one of the TED Talks, a TEDx conference, as a cameraman, and to build a couple of short videos that would be shown during that conference. So this was a chance for him to exercise his passions and to apply his skills to this particular extracurricular activity. That's what he wants to do for the rest of his life. So doing it means more than just having your own camera and making some videos. You have to actually show them to people. Another student we worked with has has been the captain of the volleyball team at his school. Now, in this role, he doesn't plan a career in volleyball or in athletics, but it gave him a chance to develop leadership, both on the court and off the court. People looked up to him as a leader. They looked up to him for advice and guidance about different issues. Some of them weren't even related to volleyball, but this was where he had a chance to grow and develop skills in leadership that will help him in his future career. Now, he's interested in a career at an international NGO like the United Nations, and certainly that requires leadership. A third example is another student. She is a very talented singer-songwriter. She's written over 25 of her own songs, and she can play them by heart, and she's quite good at playing guitar. Now, in this case, it's kind of an example of potential. You see, she has participated, so to speak, as a guitar player, but she has never done it publicly. She lacks the confidence necessary to go out and perform her songs for other people. It's an untapped opportunity. If she can develop the confidence necessary to record some of these songs, she can release an album of her very own. Now, these things aren't going to make her rich, and that's not the goal. The goal of this kind of extracurricular is to go from being somebody who can play guitar, and there are many, many, many people around the world who can play guitar, to somebody who has done something remarkable, and that is to perform your own songs publicly, and then even more remarkable, to record and release your music publicly in an album. A U.S. university would love to see that kind of confidence. They would love to see that kind of accomplishment. In fact, all four examples, the writer, the cameraman, the volleyball team captain, and the guitar player, all of them are really great for university admissions. And you can see that they didn't start off as experts. They started off in all of these things as participants. Now, in this case, only the guitar player has more opportunity in front of her. The others have already done activities that will be valuable to university admissions offices. They will love to see this kind of growth and personal development. So I have to ask you, what are you going to do with your own extracurricular activities? What kind of choices will you make to let you move from participation to contribution and hopefully to leadership? When you're deciding what extracurricular activities to sign up for this semester, or what activities or hobbies you want to continue doing for the next few months or year, please consider that the better you are at something, the better you can distinguish yourself from other university applications, other applicants. It's quite important for you to recognize that extracurricular activities are an essential part of your university applications. You've got grades, you've got test scores. Those are very objective. The extracurricular activities are very subjective, and this is where you and your own personal decisions can make a huge difference in your competitiveness for universities. Good luck with your university applications, and good luck choosing your extracurricular activities.